Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not.
Everybody got reparated.
And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act.
The LIFT Act.
Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families from
illegal migrants,
so
millions
by default,
of dollars.
It affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore. Support reparations for Black people.
The reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that.
Wow.
Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. Because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country. Right?
Well, the American people are hurting. Inflation just hit another 30-year record high. Families are paying skyrocketing prices for everyday needs. The murder rate across the country just recorded its biggest jump ever. But here's what the Biden administration is focused on: handing out six-figure and seven-figure payments to illegal immigrants. A few years back, liberal interest groups started trying to sue the United States government on behalf of illegal immigrants. They want American taxpayers to pay out legal damages because of the conditions some people face as they try to break into our country illegally. Now, as a legal matter, these laws...
I'm talking about the illegal migrants, how much Joe Biden, Kamala Harris spent on the illegal migrants, 6 figures to 7 figures.
Lawsuits were borderline frivolous.
But when it comes to reparations for Black folks that built America, they want to study it.
Our government was all but certain to win the suits, but this administration wants to stand down and voluntarily pay out massive damages.
Hear that?
Quote, the U.S. Departments of Justice,
illegal migrants, they ain't built
Homeland Security, and Health and Human Services are considering payments that could amount to close to $1 million a family.
You hear that?
$1 million a family.
For illegal migrants.
About $500,000 per adult, and about $500,000 more per child.
For illegal migrants.
Now, American families are having to anxiously budget for gas and groceries. But President Biden wants to literally make millionaires out of people who have violated federal law.
You hear that?
What could be more unfair?
That's why these illegal migrants got more than blacks.
Law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens.
Hey, these motherfucking millions
and
of
talk
dollars,
about yet another massive incentive for more and more people to come here illegally. On President Biden's watch, we've already seen an all-time high in illegal border crossings, combined with a decade low in arrests in the interior.
Dang.
So Democrats have already created a major border crisis.
Facts.
And now they want to cut seven-figure checks to illegal border crossings.
I hear that.
And now they want to cut seven-figure checks to illegal border crossings. Democrats are already trying to send monthly welfare payments to people here illegally.
I hear this.
That's in the reckless taxing and spending spree they are putting together behind closed doors. But who needs $300 a month?
But yet want to study reparations for blacks that built America, right? They out there now in Philadelphia fighting over the exhibits to put the exhibits back up, right? So it's proof there that blacks built America and they are entitled to reparations. So what's the problem? Huh? What's the problem?
When President Biden wants to send these folks $450,000 per person.
Wow.
That is 4.5 times the payment that the Department of Defense sends to survivors of service members who were killed in action. Fallen troops' families get $100,000 from the Pentagon, but the Biden administration wants to give illegal immigrants $450,000. Make a parody out of the radical left. Oh, and the next thing you know, they'll be sending out $1 million checks to illegal immigrants. But this is literally what the Biden administration wants to do, according to reports that they have not denied. Out in the real world, American families already have enough reasons to worry about the administration's spending habits. The inflation kicked off by Democrats' springtime binge has wiped out wage gains and made family budgets even harder to square. One recent report on soaring food prices, including this quote from a shopper out in Indiana. Quote, "You have to pick and choose. Before, you didn't have to do that. You could just go in and buy a week or two's worth of food. Now I can barely buy 1 week's worth." That's a sobering reality that too many Americans are dealing with. And it isn't limited
Under
to the
the
grocery store.
Biden-Harris
Folks in
administration.
my hometown of Louisville have seen gas prices jump a full $1 in the past year. Feeding a family is getting harder. Filling up the
These
tank
niggas don't
is
get
getting
it,
harder.
y'all.
Even heating a home this winter is
And y'all see these niggas fighting hard for these illegal migrants because they invested into them, y'all. That's like you investing into Bitcoin or anything like that. You ain't gonna just let it go like that. You gonna fight hard for your investment. And that's what these motherfucking niggas is doing.
shaping up to be 30% more expensive than last year. Even during a time of calm and prosperity, writing $1 million checks to illegal immigrants would be an insult to American families. But it's 10 times more insulting at a time like this
For
when
blacks.
Democrats
For blacks who helped build this country. God damn it. Let's not tap dance around the questions. God damn it. Y'all quick to jump out there and rally and protest for this and that, but ain't nobody protesting and rally for reparations. God damn it. And y'all know, y'all had the facts that African Americans built this country, right? Slaves, right? Right, Philadelphia? But ain't nobody in Philadelphia even come out their mouth to say nothing about reparating people who built this country. Yet giving millions of dollars to illegal migrants. That was our reparations right there. Why we got to study reparations? Why y'all want to study reparations but gave our reparations to these illegal migrants with the help of some of them niggas that's on the left that's fighting hard for their investment?
Found trillions of dollars for COVID relief without asking for a single study. But when it comes to reparations for slavery, suddenly we need decades of research. Stop insulting our intelligence with these stalling tactics. Let me tell you about the biggest scam that politicians keep running on Black America, and it's this whole "we need to study it" nonsense when it comes to reparations. Every time Black Americans demand what we're owed for centuries of slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, mass incarceration, and ongoing systemic racism, we get the same tired response. We need to study it. We need to form a commission. We need to research the impacts. We need to figure out the logistics. We need more time to understand the issue. It's always another excuse, another delay, another reason why now is not the right time. But you want to know what's absolutely wild? When COVID-19 hit in 2020, America found trillions of dollars instantly. No studies, no commissions, no decades of research, no debates about whether people deserved help or how much they should get. The government just opened up the checkbook and started writing checks. The CARES Act alone was over $2 trillion. Then came more stimulus packages, more relief programs, more bailouts. We're talking about multiple trillions of dollars mobilized in a matter of weeks and months, not years or decades. Nobody said we need to study whether Americans deserve pandemic relief. Nobody said we need a commission to determine if businesses should get PPP loans. Nobody said we need more research to understand if people needed stimulus checks. The government just acted because there was a crisis and people needed help. They found the money, they found the mechanism, and they distributed it fast. And you know what? Some of that money absolutely got misused. Some of it went to people who didn't need it, and some of it was straight up fraud. But they still did it because the political will was there to act. So let me ask you a question. If America can find trillions of dollars in a matter of weeks for a pandemic without any studies, why can't we find the money for reparations after 400 years of documented oppression? If we can mobilize resources that quickly when the government wants to, why are we still talking about studying reparations when we've been studying slavery and its impacts for literally centuries? The answer is simple, and it makes me angry every time I think about it. They don't want to pay us.
Now at noon on breaking right now at noon on CBS News Philadelphia. As we speak, slavery exhibits are being put back up at Independence Mall. This follows an order from a judge to do so, and it's happening despite pushback from federal officials. Let's get right out to our Dan Snyder, who is live at the exhibit in Old City with those breaking details. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Nikki, good afternoon to you. And you can see behind me, National Park Service staff hard at work here, putting up these displays that were taken down late last month. You can see they're prepping this wall. I can tell you the wall to the left of here, wall to the right of here, those exhibits have been put up, and we have some video that we can show you here, taken just within the last.
So they admit in Philadelphia that slavery at the presidential house. They admitting it, y'all. And they putting the exhibits up. That house nigga went out there fighting hard for them to put these exhibits up, but can't get out that motherfucker and fight for reparations, where y'all got the proof right here that slavery existed. God damn it. Cut the goddamn check and stop playing, niggas. That's what y'all should be fighting for. Fuck them illegal migrants.
Last few hours as staff was putting these back up. What we were told by staff on scene here, these are the original plaques, the original displays that were taken down. Now, this all stems from the city's lawsuit against the federal government demanding that these be put back up. A federal judge ruled in the city's favor yesterday.
That same judge should be ruling for reparations, goddammit, because she admitting that blacks built this country and suffered building this country. People lost lives, goddammit.
Releasing a new order saying that the federal government was not complying with her order. She gave the government until 5 p.m. tomorrow to reinstate this history.
They give us some motherfucking slavery exhibits and give our reparations to these illegal migrants. Make it make sense, y'all. Stop fucking with these Democrats. They ain't here for us.
We're excited. And you can see that work is being done right now. We've been seeing a lot of people coming out, taking pictures, a lot of smiles from people who were out here and who have supported.
Of course there's going to be a lot of smiles from people, especially white folks. God damn it.
To bring these back up. One of those, Mayor Sherelle Parker. She stopped by very briefly just to see these displays being put back up. She thanked the National Park Service workers here who were doing that. You know, the workers here, they've
thank them for goddamn cutting that
leaning
check
them against foam. They've been polishing them and cleaning them off when they get put up. So we're going to continue to follow this throughout the day as more and more of these displays get returned to the president's house.
Let's get back to our other story.
For now, live on Independent.
If we can mobilize resources that quickly when the government wants to, why are we still talking about studying reparations when we've been studying slavery and its impacts for literally centuries? The answer is simple, and it makes me angry every time I think about it. They don't want to pay us. The studies are a stalling tactic. The commissions are political theater. The whole "we need more time to understand this routine" is insulting gaslighting designed to delay justice indefinitely. Let's talk about what happened with the pandemic spending, because it completely destroys every argument against reparations. They said they didn't know exactly who would be affected or how much damage would be done, but they sent checks anyway. They said they couldn't perfectly verify who deserved help, but they created programs anyway. They said there would be fraud and abuse, but they distributed funds anyway. They said it would be expensive and complicated, but they did it anyway. Why? Because there was political will to act. The CARES Act sent stimulus checks to individuals based on their tax returns. Did they study for years whether people deserved those checks? No. Did they form commissions to determine the exact impact of the pandemic on each person? No. Did they perfectly prevent fraud? Absolutely not. Billions of dollars went to people who didn't need it, businesses that didn't exist, and straight up scammers. But they still acted because they decided helping people was more important than having perfect systems. PPP loans were supposed to help small businesses keep employees on payroll. Did they require extensive studies proving which businesses deserved loans? No. Did they have foolproof verification systems? No. Did massive fraud occur? Yes. Billions of dollars went to businesses that didn't need it, celebrities who already had money, and complete fraudsters. but they still distributed the money because speed was prioritized over perfection. Now compare that to reparations. Black Americans have documented evidence of slavery that lasted 246 years.
Facts.
We have documented evidence of Jim Crow that lasted another 100 years. We have documented evidence of redlining, housing discrimination, educational discrimination, employment discrimination, criminal justice discrimination, healthcare discrimination, and every other form of systemic racism you can name. We have academic studies, government reports, court cases, and historical records proving all of this. We have lineage records, genealogical data, and census information that can identify descendants of enslaved people. We have economic studies showing the exact wealth gap between Black and white Americans and how it directly traces back to slavery and racist policies. In other words, reparations are the most studied, most documented, most thoroughly researched policy proposal in American history. We don't need more studies. We need action. But
Right.
instead, politicians
Cut the
keep
check,
playing this
goddammit.
game where they pretend we need more information, more time,
Politicians.
more research. It's a con, and Black America is tired of falling for it. Here's what really exposed the game. California actually did the study. They formed a task force, they spent 2 years researching, they held hearings, they consulted experts, and they came back with detailed recommendations, including specific dollar amounts for reparations. And you know what happened? Politicians started running away from it. They started backtracking. They started saying, well, we need to think about this more. We need to figure out how to pay for it. We need to consider other options. Why? Because once you actually do the study, once you actually calculate what's owed, once you actually have recommendations on the table, then you have to either act on them or admit you never intended to pay reparations in the first place. Black Californians held their politicians accountable for acting on the study's recommendations, and that made other politicians nervous. Gavin Newsom, who talked big about supporting reparations, suddenly
Denied
got
it.
real quiet when the bill came due. Other Democratic politicians across the country watched what happened in California and realized that doing a study means eventually having to answer for why you're not implementing the
we got the
recommendations.
proof.
That's why Wes Moore in Maryland blocked a reparations study. He didn't want to be in the
Niggas, look.
position of having to either pay up or admit he was
Look.
never serious about it. But
But
here's
they
the
gave
thing
these
about Wes
illegal
Moore that
migrants,
makes me
man.
absolutely furious. This man has national political ambitions. Everyone knows he's positioning himself for a presidential run eventually. And if he had any political sense, any real understanding of Black America, or any genuine commitment to justice, he would do reparations in Maryland and then run for president on that record. Think about it. He could be the governor who actually delivered reparations, who showed it could be done, who demonstrated political courage on the issue that matters most to Black Americans. If Wes Moore
deny that
implemented
shit,
real
man.
reparations in Maryland, lineage-based payments for descendants of enslaved people, and then ran for president saying, I did it at the state level and I'll fight for it at the federal level, he would get 95% of the Black vote. Easily. Black voters would turn out for him like we've never turned out for anyone before. He would have credibility that no other politician has ever had with Black America. He would be the first politician who actually delivered instead of just promising. That would be a winning political strategy. But he won't do it. You know why? Because he's more afraid of his Democratic Party paymasters
Right.
than he is committed to Black liberation. He's more worried about what donors will think, what party leadership will say, what white voters might do, than he is about doing the right thing for Black people. He's more concerned with his political career within the existing power structure than he is with transforming that power structure to actually serve Black Americans. And that's exactly why Black voters are choosing the couch. This is what Democrats keep failing to understand. Black Americans are not stupid. We see the game. We see how quickly money appears when the government wants it to. We saw trillions materialize overnight for COVID relief. We saw hundreds of billions appear for
We seen millions of dollars distributed to illegal migrants through the Biden-Harris administration. We seen it all.
bank bailouts in 2008. We saw infrastructure bills worth trillions get passed. We see military budgets of over $800 billion every single year without question. We see foreign aid packages worth billions going to other countries. The money exists. The mechanisms exist. The government
Trillions.
knows how to distribute large sums.
Trillions of dollars to the Ukraine war under the Biden-Harris administration. Millions of dollars to these illegal migrants under the Biden-Harris administration. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the American people suffered with high gas prices, high prices at the market. Your everyday bills went up 10%. God damn it. and yet they don't have no money for reparations.
Of money to specific populations quickly. They just don't want to do it for us. And then they insult us by pretending the issue is complexity or cost. Reparations would cost a lot, yes. Estimates range from several trillion to as much as $14 trillion, depending on how you calculate the debt. But you know what? We just spent multiple trillions on COVID relief in a single year. We spend over
on COVID and illegal migrants. Add all that up. The COVID relief and the illegal migrant money. Add all it up. What y'all come up with?
We're 800 billion.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, goddammit. Between COVID funds and funds for illegal migrants. Somebody put it in the chat.
On military every single year. We've spent trillions on wars in the Middle East over the past 2 decades. We found 700 billion overnight to bail out banks. Trillions on wars in the Middle East over the past 2 decades. We found 700 billion overnight to bail out banks in 2008. America has the money. America has always had the money. What America doesn't have is the political will to pay black people what we're owed. The study excuse is particularly insulting when you consider that black scholars, activists, and organizations have been studying reparations for decades. The case has been made repeatedly in books, articles, reports, testimonies, and academic research. NCOBRA has been doing this work since 1987. The National African American Reparations Commission has detailed proposals. Individual scholars like William Darity have done extensive economic analysis. The information exists. The research is done. The only thing missing is political courage to act on it. What Democrats are really saying when they talk about needing studies is that they're not willing to pay reparations, but they want to seem like they're open to it. They want black votes without black specific policy. They want to appear progressive without actually challenging existing power structures or wealth distributions. They want to keep black Americans loyal to the party while delivering nothing of substance in return. And the study excuse is perfect for that because it sounds reasonable while accomplishing nothing. This is why more black Americans are choosing not to vote or are withholding their votes until we get something tangible. What's the point of being the most loyal Democratic voting bloc in America if we're the least rewarded? What's the point of turning out at 90% for Democratic candidates if those candidates won't even do a study on reparations, let alone actually pay them? What's the point of giving unconditional loyalty to a party that takes us for granted and delivers symbolic gestures instead of material benefits? The couch is looking real attractive to a lot of black voters right now, and Democrats only have themselves to blame. You can't keep running the same con forever. You can't keep saying we need studies while finding trillions instantly for everything else. You can't keep promising to address racial wealth gaps while refusing to address the root cause of those gaps. You can't keep asking for black votes while delivering nothing but excuses. Eventually, people wake up to the game, and that's exactly what's happening. Here's what needs to happen. Politicians need to stop lying about needing studies. We have enough studies, we have enough research, we have enough documentation. What we need is the political will to act. If you want black votes, put reparations legislation on the table. Real legislation with real dollar amounts for descendants of enslaved people in America. Not studies, not commissions, not conversations, actual reparations. If politicians are serious about reparations, they should look at the COVID response as a blueprint. The government identified a population that needed help, calculated rough amounts, created distribution mechanisms, and got money out quickly. They didn't wait for perfect systems. They didn't spend years studying whether people deserved help. They acted. That same approach could work for reparations tomorrow if there was political will. You could identify descendants of enslaved people through genealogical records, census data, and self-identification with verification. It's not perfect, but neither was the COVID relief distribution, and they did it anyway. You could calculate payments based on the economic value of stolen labor, the wealth gap, or other metrics that economists have already worked out. You could use existing government payment systems like direct deposit and checks. You could create appeals processes for disputes. All of this is doable. The only question is whether politicians want to do it. But they don't, and until they do, more black Americans are going to withhold their votes. We're done being taken for granted. We're done accepting excuses that don't apply to any other group or any other crisis. We're done pretending that symbolic gestures are enough. We're done voting for people who won't fight for us. We're done with the study excuse, the timing excuse, the cost excuse, and every other excuse politicians use to avoid paying what they owe. America spent trillions during the pandemic without batting an eye. America can spend trillions trillions on reparations if the political will exists. Until that happens, Democrats can stop expecting unconditional Black loyalty. You want our votes? Show us the money. Literally, everything else is just talk, and we're done listening to talk. It's time for action, and if you won't act, we'll make you feel our absence at the ballot box. That's the only language politicians seem to understand, so that's the language we're speaking now. The study excuse is dead. The cost excuse is dead. The complexity excuse is dead. COVID relief killed all of those excuses permanently. Now it's time to deliver reparations or admit you never intended to pay us in the first place. Stop playing games with us. We're not playing anymore.
But here's what the Biden administration is focused on: handing out six-figure and seven-figure payments to illegal immigrants. Pay out legal damages because of the conditions some people faced as they tried to break into our country illegally. Quote, the U.S. Departments of Justice, Homeland Security, and Health and Human Services are considering payments that could amount to close to $1 million a family. $1 million a family. About $500,000 per adult, and about $500,000 more per child. Now, American families are having to anxiously budget for gas and groceries. But President Biden wants to literally make millionaires out of people who have violated federal law, being American citizens. And talk about yet another massive incentive for more and more people to come here illegally. On President Biden's watch, we've already seen an all-time high in illegal border crossings, combined with a decade low in arrests in the interior. So
I asked the peoples between the COVID relief funds and the funds distributed to these illegal migrants. Ladies and gentlemen, can y'all come up with a number and put it in the chat? God damn it, that was reparations, right?
In the interior. So Democrats have already created a major border crisis. And now they want to cut seven-figure checks to illegal border crossings. And now they want to cut seven-figure checks to illegal border crossings. Democrats are already trying to send monthly welfare payments to people here illegally. That's in the reckless taxing and spending spree they are putting together behind closed doors. But who needs $300 a month when President Biden wants to send these folks $450,000 per person? That is 4.5 times the payment that the Department of Defense sends to survivors of service members who were killed in action. Oh, and the next thing you know, they'll be sending out $1 million checks to illegal immigrants. But this is literally what the Biden administration wants to do, according to reports that they have not denied.
Federal response to COVID-19. How much total? $4.6 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. This is how much we spent so far in response to COVID-19. 4.7 trillion. 4.5 trillion. 4.6 trillion. How much did the Biden administration pay on the Russian war invasion since February? $182 billion, ladies and gentlemen. $182 billion. More than $83 billion in funding and equipment has been directly dispersed. Here's the numbers here. The numbers don't lie, y'all. So we adding up the COVID relief funds, the funding for the war, and then the funding for the illegal migrants. Y'all see this? The Department of Homeland Security announced $380 million in additional funding to communities receiving migrants. So they paid these sanctuary cities money to harvest these illegal migrants. That's why they out this bitch fighting so hard, I told y'all. With that being said, until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep your foot on their neck until they pay that reparations. And we don't want to hear no study, goddammit. Study these nuts.